Psalms 34:18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. A verse that I, in the past year, would find to hit a lot closer to home than I would ever think. Today, well, I guess the time that this was posted, September 26th, is exactly 1 year since I've tried taking my life. Something I haven't really talked about a whole lot. I've told 2 people ever. Well, told 2 people the whole story. I've mentioned it kind of in passing to a couple people. I made like a post about mental health and kind of my experience with that, but I didn't really go into depth. So, this time last year, I had my lowest low. And it just crushed me. In that last year, I've been able to kind of pick up the pieces, kind of try to rebuild a little bit, but I haven't really been, living life. It's been just more or less surviving, kind of just like going with the flow of things. So it's not like I've been thriving by any means, but just be alive and breathing is just the biggest blessing that I can have. And I want to. It's been a year. I want to try seeing what happens, this time next year, where I will be if I just put my head down and focus. To be quite honest, the 6 months after my attempt, it's kind of just all a blur. It went by really quick. The only thing I can remember is, I had a shitty job. I was nocturnal pretty much, and I just didn't really sleep. For 6 months, I could not sleep. Every dream I had was just a reminder of that night. And it just was not a great time, but it was time that I needed to just try to heal. Try not to, have it get that bad again. I had already been, maybe the last like month or two leading up to it, I was kind of in a rut. I wasn't feeling myself. I've struggled with depression on and on, like on and off my whole life. Almost as far back I can remember, but it's just always kind of been a thing. I suspect that it will kind of just always be a thing that I'll have to deal with one way or another. But I'm getting better about recognizing that pattern. I'm much more self-aware now. But Ari wasn't doing great. I was real down. I was living over in Nevada with my girlfriend, and kind of really just out of the blue, uh, she breaks up with me. And this is the girl that I've been dating for a while, and we had just gotten our apartment together. We might have been there for 2 months, but just got an apartment there together. I bought her an engagement ring. I asked her parents for their like for their blessing if I could ask her to marry me. I haven't proposed. I didn't propose to her yet at that time, but like she knew I had the ring. She knew I asked her parents. It was kind of just like a matter of time. Her her dad wanted me to wait a little bit more. I was gonna wait a couple months or a month or two, but uh, this is the first time in my life I actually had a plan of where I was going, what I wanted to do, who I wanted to do it with. Uh, Out of the blue, she just didn't want to be in a relationship anymore, and there was just no if, ands, or buts about it. Uh, and like she was great. She just thought that we didn't really want the same thing in life, but she was asking me all these questions when I wasn't really in the best mind space. I was kind of somewhere else. I think it's kind of what led you know to that decision. Uh, but societally, she just called it off. She's like, I'm good. I think we just want different things out of life. We grew up differently. I'm from a small town. It's like a mile long. You grew up to go work in the mill or be a logger. Uh, she grew up in San Jose, California, where much more opportunity, a lot of rich people. There's we just had different perspectives on life. Uh, you know, but so when she called it off, I was I was devastated because in my perspective, my whole world just ended. I thought it was over, it was done, and in reality, like, yes, my world did just end. Everything, life as I knew it, ended that day. You know, everything I had planned, uh, everything I wanted, it all changed that day. It was all torn apart, stripped away, uh, and that destroyed me because I thought for like once I was gonna have something solid. Uh, that I was for sure was not, going to leave, going to change. It was it was for sure, written in stone. It's how it's going to be. This is going to be stable, great, and that took a very large toll on me. And I was alone in Nevada. I didn't really have any friends, uh, and I didn't have any family there. I kind of held off on telling my parents about uh, about us breaking up. There was still some like small hope in me. Like, well, maybe she'll come back. Maybe she'll change her mind. Um, so I didn't really reach out to anyone. I just shut off. I shut off the whole world. Uh, and every night I expected her to walk through the door. Never happened. But uh, every night I could feel it getting worse and worse. And one night I just, I was almost going to do it anymore. And I just felt that feeling, you know, just keep elevating and elevating. And it was, I had a rifle I kept in the corner of my bedroom. I would notice I would look at it a little too long at the end of the night. And one night I tried uh try to get a hold of her to talk to her. She was, you my perspective, this whole time I was down there, she was my person. She was my rock. She was my go-to, who I talked to. Like she got me. She could calm any storm I had. Uh, obviously she didn't. She didn't really want to talk to me. She wanted to just move on, kind of just sweep it under the rug. It's done. Uh, and yeah, I was already on my last leg, and I didn't mention any of that like to her about how much I was like really hurting, and and the night before she sent me a message, and it, and that affected me a lot. It really hurt, uh, and it was like you're so in love with someone, and all of a sudden now they just kind of act and behave like someone you just you just don't know, that you never knew. And it was it was it was hard. It was just a fucking, just like my emotions just getting jerked around, uh and she just didn't want to talk to me. Like, I didn't really know how to express these emotions. It was just wild inside, just trying to get rid of it any way I could. And then it just kept escalating that night. And I took the rifle from the corner of my room, and it's always been there. I knew the magazine was loaded, and uh, I took it out of the corner. I racked it, and I went to the edge of my bed, and I put the stock of the gun on the bed. And I stood there, and I was holding it, looking at it, and through the tears, through all the anger and just sadness that I was feeling, I was just a broken man. I I put the barrel of the gun to the roof of my mouth, and I still remember how it feels, and just I remember every little thing about that experience. Every sensory feeling, and I put my thumb on the trigger, uh, and I pulled it, and obviously I'm still here. It just clicked, and instantly my body just, so much relief just flooded my body. Uh, and I realized pretty much as I felt that trigger loosen, as I pull it, that like split second, I realized I didn't want to die. I just wanted things to be better. I wanted things to go back to how they were. I wanted my life back. Um, I knew I wasn't getting it back. Uh, and I grew up around guns my whole life, and that gun has never done that before. Uh, I don't know exactly what happened, but when I racked it, it was an AR, and this whole time that it was sitting in the corner, I didn't touch it, and the only thing I can think of that could have caused it was that the magazine wasn't pushed in all the way. Like it needed to go in just that much more to be fully in, because when I racked it, uh, it didn't chamber around. I didn't notice, uh, and thank God I didn't notice. I think God had my back that day, and really put me, you know, through, through the fire. Uh, they saved me from that for sure. Not the first time that I can say that God saved me, but this was a very literal sense that God saved my life. Uh, I only told two people this story before, and one was Flex Wheeler. Uh, super nice dude. He he was kind of the only guy that I really knew I could talk to, and he actually understand what I was kind of going through, how I felt, and that was a big help. Uh, he's a great guy. And the second I told was my mom, and I told her the next day because I packed all my bags the next day, and I just threw all my shit in my car and I left. I left Nevada. I could not stay in that apartment another night. Couldn't be around there another night. But I do regret telling my mom, uh, because I don't think any parent should really hear their kid just sobbing over the phone about them trying to take their own life, and not being there to really do anything about it. She couldn't comfort me in any way. She's 4 or 5 hours away. Uh, I no 7 hours away, and I packed my bags the next night and I took off. Uh, but I believe I was kind of put through all that for a reason. You know, you ask God for strength and to deliver you from pain, and then I get put through something like that, and now I can guarantee that nothing will ever hurt as much as that. No pain will ever be close to that. If I can survive that, I can survive anything else that's thrown my way. A lot of these life experiences I've had people say, like, you just seem to be under attack by the enemy. That is one way to look at it, but I don't I don't think that's it. I think it's God preparing me, you know, strengthening me. Uh, all these things I've been through in life, all things, you know, I've struggled with, and they're all things I would never take away. If I could go back, I wouldn't redo it. Uh, I wouldn't undo it. And it's just been something that has, I think, benefited me in the long run, given me a lot of perspective. Uh, plenty of stories to tell from it. But it's still, something like that. It's been a year. It still affects me quite a bit. Uh, it's really hard for me to sit in silence because I do think about it quite a bit. If things are too quiet, that's something that my brain just brings up. At night, I have to sleep with at least one headphone in, playing something just so it's not so quiet. Because if it is, I can still taste the dust that was on the barrel of that gun from sitting in the corner. I almost did something horrific uh, and selfish. It would have hurt a lot of people more than me. My I didn't just almost kill myself. I almost killed someone's son, someone's brother, someone's friend. I almost took that away from a lot of people. And I would have traumatized, you know, the nice girl that I was in a relationship with, her whole life. And that is not fair. I would have traumatized the people that found me, you know. That's something that no one should see, that no parent should have the misfortune of going through. It's just not, and it's something that a lot of a lot of people struggle with, and I don't think it's talked about enough. I think we're getting better as a collective about talking about it, but it's just not. It's not out there enough for everyone to feel comfortable about reaching out. Because my biggest strength now is knowing to reach out and not keeping it all to myself and not blocking everyone out. Actually talking through things. It does help because you have people that love you. You have people in your corner. And this past year has been really, has really opened my eyes to that. And I'm very thankful for the people I have in my life. I'm thankful it just that's done and over. So now I want to dedicate the next year to really really focusing on life and living with a purpose and pursuing my goals because after all that happened, that was the first time I stopped really believing in me. All the goals I had, I just felt like if something that felt so concrete was taken away so fast, it's like everything else that I had thought just every goal I had just wasn't going to happen. It's the first time I can ever remember not not believing in myself, and it crushed me. Uh, and this last year, admittedly, hasn't been to my greatest potential. Half of it, the first 6 months after was just a big nothing, but it was needed. Uh, um, time to reflect. And then I went into a bodybuilding prep, and that distracted me from everything. I was too focused on that to really focus on the past, and that was a good distraction. And I was kind of able to see my potential in that prep. So uh, the goal was to keep pursuing bodybuilding. I got recently just got a good coach. Uh, working with Chris Tuttle. That's awesome. My buddy hooked me up with him. So now this next year is just going to be about, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work more. I'm going to fully pursue my goals as much as I can. Uh, really just kind of put myself out there because I haven't done that in my 22 years of life. I have never really put myself out there. Um, I wanted to be, a different person, and I want to be everything that I said I was going to be, and work towards that. So, and I will give everything towards that. Uh, if you don't have anything to live for, find something to die for. And my pursuit in bodybuilding and that lifestyle and having a career somewhere in there, that is something that I'm willing to do. Uh, so in the next, hopefully I can make another video, and in the next year, I'll be sitting here talking to you and being able to say I fucking did it, right? And admittedly, now where I'm at now, the starting point is it's not bad. It's good. Um, I got a good job. I can finally consider a career. Uh, I got a good job. I'll be picking up more overtime. Uh, starting this week. I want to. Some of my goals is just moving up in that, working more. I'm gonna get a raise here soon, so that's even better. I want my own place. I live with two roommates, but I live in a nice place here in Central Oregon. I want, I want my own place. I want to, really focus and have the means to focus on bodybuilding and, build up, uh, my coaching business, my coaching career. I would like to keep building that as much as I can. If I can do that one day full time, great. I would love to. I would. That would basically just be a dream come true. Uh, and there's no reason why I wouldn't be able to. Is take time. It's just consistency. It's like anything else in life worth having. It's not just gonna fall in my lap. Like, oh shit, I have a full time coaching career now. That's awesome. It's not something you can really just apply for. You kind of have to earn it. Uh, So I will keep you guys posted, updated. I want to make more videos. I've always been afraid of looking like a fool and cringy, making a bunch of videos and content. And now I realize that really doesn't matter how people perceive me. Like, oh, it's cringy. Like, okay, and I don't really know anyone or really consider the opinion of anyone else important outside of like my parents, kind of. Like, I obviously consider their opinion, but it's really what I want to do. Uh, but it'll be good. So hopefully, I will hold myself accountable, keep myself consistent on this part, on this end. Uh, I'll try to. I'm still new to making videos and editing. The mic is not the greatest, but I'll keep everyone posted on how I'm doing, how the progress is. So I will. Hopefully, this video will be up tomorrow. We'll see, but uh, maybe I'll film some lifting stuff too, just to throw it in there. I'll throw this in the beginning. Who knows? But yeah, uh, I will see you guys in the next one. Oh.